Have you ever wondered what happens to those who dare to rise against a soul that heaven has handpicked, those who throw stones at the ones marked by divine fire? This is not just another video. It's a direct message from the spiritual realm to every chosen one listening. And if this message has reached you, know this: you didn't click it by accident. You were guided here. Because what you're about to hear will not only open your eyes, it will shift your spirit. It will confirm what your soul has silently known all along. You are protected, you are watched, and those who have tried to destroy you will face the law of return. Let me ask you this, chosen one: how many times have you been betrayed, attacked, or slandered for no reason? How many times did people you once loved secretly root for your downfall, only to smile in your face as if nothing happened? And yet, you stayed silent. You didn't fight back. You didn't expose them. You just kept walking with the weight of the pain. But even in that silence, something powerful was unfolding in the unseen. Divine justice was moving. Because when you're chosen, you don't have to fight with flesh and blood. You don't have to argue, retaliate, or beg for truth. The universe, God, the Creator, whatever name your spirit calls Him, will always rise on your behalf. This video is going to reveal the secret spiritual law that governs every attack against a chosen one. It's called the law of return. It's the universal law that ensures what is sent out must come back. And when someone directs envy, curses, lies, or sabotage towards someone anointed, they are not attacking a person. They are provoking heaven. The law of return is not just karma. It is spiritual retribution, calibrated by divine timing. It may not come the next day, but it comes. And when it does, it comes multiplied. This is your confirmation. That strange feeling you've had. The inner sense that someone was working against you behind closed doors. You weren't crazy. You were discerning. You felt the shifts. The spiritual heaviness, the sudden anxiety, the disturbed sleep, the foggy mind, the drained energy. These were all signs of spiritual warfare. But you survived it. You're still standing. And because you didn't retaliate, you activated something far more powerful: the automatic return of every weapon that was formed against you. So, before we dive deeper into what happens to those who attack a chosen one, I want you to do something bold. Drop 737 in the comments if you've ever been through a season of betrayal and came out stronger. Comment 3333 if you know the attacks were real, but something always protected you anyway. These numbers are not random. They are divine markers of confirmation. And while you're here, don't forget to subscribe and tap that bell icon. This channel exists for you, for the chosen ones rising in this generation, reclaiming what was stolen, and remembering who they really are. And if you know another soul who has been under silent spiritual attack, share this message with them. It might be the very light they've been praying for. This message isn't for everyone. This message is for the ones who had to suffer in silence, while others tried to paint them as the villain. The ones who were misunderstood, underestimated, and mocked for their sensitivity, their purity, their calling. You weren't weak. You were spiritually awake in a world still asleep. And that light in you, the light that made others uncomfortable, was the very reason they came after you. But the law of return is already at work. And what they sent your way is already circling back to them with spiritual interest. You are not defenseless. You are never walking alone. And today your soul is being reminded of a truth that cannot be denied. No one attacks the chosen and gets away with it. There is justice in the spirit. There is balance in the universe. And there is a law written not by man, but by the Most High Himself, the law of return. Now let's go deeper into what this truly means. What is the law of return? The law of return is one of the oldest, most powerful, and most misunderstood spiritual laws in the universe. It is not a theory. It is not a superstition. It is a law. etched into the very fabric of divine order. Everything you release into this world, your words, your thoughts, your intentions, your actions, will eventually find its way back to you. That's not a possibility. That's a certainty. And when it comes to the chosen ones, this law works with a heightened sensitivity. Because when someone harms the anointed, it is not just energy they are dealing with. It is a sacred contract they are violating. In simple terms, the law of return is heaven's way of keeping balance in a world full of spiritual injustice. It ensures that no seed goes unharvested, whether good or bad. Every blessing you gave in secret, every tear you cried in silence, every betrayal you endured quietly, those didn't just vanish into the void. The law of return gathers every one of them, stores them in the spiritual realm, and returns them to you at the appointed time. Likewise, for those who plotted against you, lied on your name, and conspired to dim your light, the same law guarantees that what they sent out will not disappear. It will rebound. There's a reason why many ancient teachings, including scriptures, speak of reaping what you sow. That's the law of return in action. Some call it karma, others call it divine justice, but at its core, it is the sacred echo of the universe that mirrors back what is given. And this is where it becomes extremely significant for the chosen ones. Because your calling places a divine seal over your life, your energy is not ordinary. Anyone who tries to defile it, manipulate it, or exploit it triggers this law in a more forceful way. Why? Because God Himself has set you apart, and when someone touches what God has consecrated, they don't just cross a personal boundary, they violate a spiritual line drawn by heaven. Let me make it clear. The law of return does not operate on human emotions. It doesn't depend on whether you feel like forgiving or retaliating. It doesn't wait for you to get angry or take revenge. It is automatic. It moves in silence, and when it activates, it aligns every force, seen and unseen, to restore what was damaged and repay what was stolen. Sometimes this return looks like elevation in your life, new doors opening, peace returning, clarity washing over your soul. Other times it looks like chaos falling on the lives of those who came against you. That's not your doing. That's the law. For example, someone might lie on your name and think they've gotten away with it. But a few weeks later, they lose their job, their reputation takes a hit, or their relationships fall apart. From the outside, it may seem like coincidence. But in the spiritual realm, that is the law of return, balancing the scale. That is the weight of dishonor finding its way back home. That is divine retribution, not in anger, but in alignment. Many people don't understand this. They think they can attack a chosen one in private and never suffer the consequences. But what they don't realize is that spiritual energy is more real than physical evidence. You don't need to catch someone in the act. You don't need to prove your pain to the world. The universe already recorded it. God already saw it. And the law of return already calculated the cost. This law is not meant to punish. It is meant to purify. It is meant to teach souls that nothing is ever lost. Nothing is ever truly hidden. When you operate from love, integrity, and purpose, the return you receive is abundance. But when people act from deceit, ego, and malice, especially toward someone carrying a divine mission, the return comes in lessons, losses, and spiritual debt. That's not punishment. That's correction. To every chosen one listening, you don't need to fear the people who plotted your downfall. You don't need to lose sleep over the betrayal. The law of return is already moving, and when it finishes its course, not only will your enemies remember what they did, they'll remember who you are, not because you exposed them, but because heaven did. The law of return is not a threat. It is a promise, a sacred spiritual promise that no weapon formed against you shall prosper, not because it was never launched, but because the return was already written. Why the chosen are always attacked. If you're a chosen one, you've likely asked yourself the same haunting question at least once in your life. Why me? Why do people turn against you for no reason? Why do friendships collapse without warning? Why do family members harbor jealousy and strangers feel irritated by your mere presence? The truth is simple, yet deeply spiritual. When you carry light, darkness recognizes you before others do. The chosen are not attacked because of who they are in the physical. They are attacked because of what they carry in the spiritual. From the moment you stepped into this world, your energy disturbed the atmosphere. Even as a child, people projected things onto you. You were misunderstood, misjudged, and misrepresented not because you did something wrong, but because your spirit was already marked. The frequency you operate on disturbs people who have not yet healed, who are still operating in shadows. You reveal what they've hidden. You awaken what they've buried. And for many, that's threatening. So their ego attacks what their soul envies. Spiritual warfare is not about red demons and horror movie images. It's about everyday interactions that carry hidden intentions. It's about the friend who supports you publicly but gossips about you privately. It's about the coworker who feels intimidated by your presence and tries to undermine your success. It's about the random stranger who gives you the evil eye for simply walking into the room with quiet confidence. These aren't coincidences. These are the symptoms of being a chosen one. In a spiritually asleep world, you may have noticed that you often become a mirror for others. They project their insecurities onto you. They see your light and feel exposed, not because you are trying to outshine anyone, but because your authenticity reveals their performance. You don't need to try. Your existence alone unsettles everything not aligned with truth. And this is why you are always attacked. You are not here to blend in. You are here to shift atmospheres, to carry a frequency that purifies, awakens, and sometimes confronts. And confrontation, even when unintentional, will always invite resistance. The enemy doesn't waste resources on those who are spiritually asleep. The attack intensifies the closer you get to purpose. When your spiritual gifts start activating, when your wisdom deepens, when your presence starts to bring healing, expect the attacks to increase, not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're doing something right. Darkness recognizes divine light even before you fully do, but don't be discouraged. The attacks are confirmation. They are spiritual notifications that you are getting closer to something powerful. They are reminders that you are not ordinary. They are proof that your mission is not small. So instead of asking, "Why me?" start declaring, "Of course me. I was built for this." You were chosen not because it's easy, but because you were strong enough to carry the mantle. And while the attacks may come, always remember, you are divinely covered. The law of return is not only watching over you, it is defending you. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone. Your elevation will speak louder than your explanation. And those who tried to dim your light will witness what happens when someone touches what was anointed by the Most High. You were born for this battle. You were born to be different. And the reason the attacks never broke you is because your foundation was built in the spiritual. You may bend, but you do not break. You may fall, but you always rise. Because the chosen are never alone. And even when it feels like no one understands you, heaven sees you. And heaven keeps score. Now let's go deeper and talk about what happens when heaven responds. Because the attacks on you were not ignored. The betrayal, the lies, the spiritual warfare, they all triggered a divine response. And that response is what we call divine retribution. Divine retribution, how heaven responds to injustice. When someone attacks a chosen one, they are not just attacking a person. They are violating a divine assignment. And every violation carries consequence. This is where divine retribution enters. It's not a maybe. It's not a wish. It's a response written into the contract of your calling. You see, heaven doesn't respond in the way man does. It doesn't scream, fight, or post receipts on social media. Heaven responds with precision. with timing, with purpose. It doesn't miss, and it never forgets. The moment someone lies on your name, heaven records it. The moment someone plots your downfall, the spiritual realm observes it. The moment you are betrayed, overlooked, or mocked for being who God made you to be, heaven doesn't turn away. It leans in. You may feel alone in the moment, but in the spiritual, your tears activate angels. Your silence triggers warfare. Your surrender opens the gates for divine correction. Divine retribution isn't about vengeance. It's about alignment. It's about restoring what was violated. And in the case of a chosen one, it's about defending what carries sacred purpose. That's why your enemies often face chaos after coming against you. It's not your doing. It's not you wishing them bad. It's heaven reminding them that they touched a soul that was not to be touched. Let's make this clear. Many of those who attacked you thought they were safe. They thought they were clever. They didn't see lightning strike the next day, so they assumed they got away with it. But divine retribution rarely acts immediately. It waits for the perfect moment when the lesson can be the loudest. Sometimes years pass, and suddenly they face the consequences of what they did to you. A loss, a fall, a public collapse, a deep spiritual torment they can't explain. That is not bad luck. That is the balance of spiritual justice being served. You may never get to see it with your eyes, and that's okay, because divine retribution isn't for your ego. It's for your protection. It's heaven's way of making sure the seeds of betrayal don't go unharvested. And here's the deeper truth. Sometimes your elevation is their retribution. Sometimes the very thing that hurts them the most is seeing you win after they tried to break you. That's the loudest justice there is. But don't think divine retribution is only about punishment. It's also about reward. For every lie spoken against you, a truth will rise in your favor. For every closed door, another will open in greater glory. For every tear you cried alone, there is a blessing forming in silence. Heaven doesn't just respond to pain, it responds to faith. And because you didn't fight dirty, because you stayed pure, because you held your peace, heaven will honor you publicly. Sometimes the retribution comes in the form of loss for them. Other times it comes in the form of overflow for you. That's the mystery of divine justice. It doesn't always strike down the enemy. Sometimes it just raises the one they tried to bury. That's how heaven works. Quietly, powerfully, and always on time. So if you've been wondering whether your pain was seen, yes, it was. If you've been questioning whether the betrayal was noted, yes, it was. If you've been carrying the weight of injustice with no closure, this is your closure. Divine retribution is real, it's active, and it's already in motion. You don't need to pray for your enemies to fall. Just pray that they learn, because what they did to you will teach them, and what you went through will anoint you. God doesn't play about the chosen. The ones who attack you may have mocked you, underestimated you, even laughed at your downfall. But what they didn't realize was that they were placing themselves in direct conflict with God's plan. And no one wins in a fight with the divine. No one. Rest in this truth. You are covered, you are seen, and heaven is not blind. What was done in secret will be answered in the Spirit, not by your hands, but by the hand of the Most High. The spiritual consequences for harming a chosen one. There's something most people don't realize when they mistreat a chosen one. They think they're dealing with just another human being, another fragile soul they can use, manipulate, discard, or destroy. But what they're actually engaging with is a vessel carrying divine assignment. And when someone harms a chosen one, whether with words, actions, intentions, or energy, they are not just hurting a person, they are trespassing against the sacred. And the spiritual consequences for that are not light. They are real, they are lasting, and they are often beyond anything the human mind can prepare for. When a person touches what God has protected, they invoke a spiritual debt that cannot be escaped. You see, the chosen ones are not just good people. They are souls handpicked for missions that reach far beyond this world. Their energy is uncommon. Their spirit is wired to shift atmospheres. Their presence alone carries healing, revelation, and transformation. So when someone tries to sabotage that presence, when they curse it, when they lie on it, when they try to destroy it out of envy or insecurity, they are essentially declaring war on a divine agenda. And heaven doesn't take that lightly. Spiritual consequences don't always show up in the ways people expect. They might not be struck down by lightning or lose everything overnight, but slowly, sometimes quietly, sometimes loudly, their lives begin to shift. Nothing seems to work anymore. Relationships fall apart, money dries up, peace disappears. Confusion begins to hover over them like a cloud they can't shake. It's not bad luck. It's not random misfortune. It's the spiritual response to a moral violation. It's the law of return collecting the debt. One of the most common consequences is spiritual blockage. When someone harms a chosen one, their spiritual path becomes distorted. Doors that were once open begin to shut. Opportunities dry up. Creativity fades. Joy evaporates. They may continue smiling for the world, but something deep inside starts to break. That's the unseen realm responding to their choice. That's divine order correcting imbalance. That's spiritual consequence manifesting in their reality. Another major effect is the boomerang of energy. Every false word they spoke about you, every curse they whispered behind closed doors, every attempt they made to break your spirit, those things don't dissolve. They bounce. They return. And when they return, they come stronger. Because the energy sent toward a chosen one is filtered through a spiritual system that multiplies justice. It doesn't just return to sender, it educates the sender. It teaches them through experience what they tried to make you feel, not to destroy them, but to humble them. In many cases, these individuals begin to lose alignment with themselves. They question their path. They start attracting the same type of negativity they once projected. Their relationships mirror the same betrayal they initiated. Their success turns hollow. Their mind becomes cluttered. Their spirit grows heavy. This is the divine mirror at work. This is spiritual justice reflecting their own actions back at them so they can learn, if they're willing to. And sometimes the consequences are generational. That's the part nobody talks about. When a person comes against a chosen one, they may unintentionally place that energy into their own bloodline. Their children may carry burdens they never chose. Their home may be filled with chaos that has no clear source. Why? Because the energy they released carried weight, and once released, it must land somewhere. The universe doesn't forget, it simply waits, and when the cycle ripens, it manifests, not to punish, but to correct what was out of order. But let's be clear, these consequences don't come from the chosen one's desire for revenge. They come from divine law. The chosen are often the most forgiving, most compassionate, most silent when wronged. But their silence isn't weakness. It's permission. Permission for the Most High to act. Permission for the law of return to execute justice. Because the chosen don't seek retribution in the flesh. They let the spirit handle what the flesh cannot. Sometimes the most painful consequence for those who harm a chosen one is simply watching them rise. Watching the very person they tried to destroy evolve into greatness, glow in divine favor, and attract blessings they can't comprehend. That is a judgment in itself. That is a spiritual sentence written in silence, and deep down they know they touched something they never should have touched. To those who have wronged you, their apologies may never come, but their consequences will, not because you cursed them, but because they cursed what heaven had already blessed. Not because you wished them harm, but because they tried to interrupt a destiny that was divinely protected. That's not something you can play with and walk away from untouched. And for you, chosen one, this is why you must not retaliate. Your silence is your shield. Your peace is your power. Your ability to walk away without bitterness is what activates the full force of divine justice. You are not weak for being silent. You are not foolish for staying pure. You are wise beyond words, because you know that what the Spirit corrects is far more effective than anything the flesh could ever do. You were built to be misunderstood. You were designed to be different. And because of that, people will project, attack, and betray. But you are also built to rise, built to withstand, built to be vindicated by a force greater than words, greater than proof, vindicated by truth itself. And that truth is this: anyone who harms a chosen one will face the consequence. Not always when you expect it, but always when it's needed. Because spiritual justice never misses. It only waits for divine timing. So walk in peace, not in fear. Walk with the knowledge that you are covered, that the damage done to you was not wasted, it was witnessed. And the ones who tried to break your spirit will eventually face their own. Not because you said so, but because heaven said so. And heaven's word never returns void. Why you must never retaliate. Let the law work. When you've been betrayed, attacked, or wrongfully accused, the natural response is to want justice. Immediate, visible, undeniable justice. You want to clear your name, expose the liars, return the pain, and prove to the world who was right and who was wrong. But if you're a chosen one, you must understand, your power doesn't lie in retaliation. It lies in restraint. It lies in your ability to stand tall in silence while heaven handles the war you don't need to fight. Retaliation may feel good in the moment, but it costs more than it pays. Every time you lower your energy to fight people who are beneath your spiritual assignment, you delay your own elevation. You see, revenge requires you to come down from your spiritual position. And the moment you do that, you step out of divine alignment and into human chaos. That's exactly where the enemy wants you, entangled in low vibrations, emotional outbursts, and wasted energy. But you weren't built for that. You weren't anointed to fight battles in the flesh. You were chosen to rise, not to react. Let the law of return do what it was designed to do. It is not your job to teach someone the lesson their own actions will bring upon them. It is not your role to make them feel the weight of what they did to you. The universe, the Creator, the Most High, whatever name you give to the source of divine balance, has already seen everything. And when you choose not to retaliate, you give that divine force full authority to move on your behalf. The truth is, nothing confuses your enemies more than your silence. They expect drama, they expect rage, they expect to see you crumble or lash out. But when you don't, they start to realize that they didn't just mess with a person, they disturbed divine energy. And that awareness, that's more powerful than any confrontation. That's what keeps them up at night. Because while you're rising, they're wondering what's coming for them. And what's coming isn't your anger, it's their own reflection. Another prophetic sign is the elevation of your name. You may start hearing whispers that people are speaking well of you in rooms you've never entered. Doors open with no explanation. People who once doubted you are forced to acknowledge your growth. What was once used against you is now working for you. The rejection you experienced becomes the platform for your redemption. You're not seeking revenge, yet justice finds you. That's the law doing its work. That's the divine reversal. A prophetic sign that what was meant for evil is being flipped into good. Pay attention to the inner calm that follows chaos. When the storm ends and your soul suddenly feels light again, that's spiritual confirmation. The heaviness lifts. The mental fog clears. You sleep deeper. You breathe easier. And without even trying, your energy becomes magnetic again. People sense it before they understand it. That peace is not just relief, it's prophetic. It's a signal that the warfare you've endured has met its expiration. You've crossed into a season of divine return. Sometimes the signs are visible in the lives of those who wronged you. Without you saying a word, they start facing circumstances they can't control. Plans fail, opportunities dry up, confusion surrounds them. You may hear of their struggles, or you may simply feel the shift. Their energy changes, they become restless, scattered, and uncertain. It's not your doing, it's the law balancing the scales. What they sent out has returned, not because you wished for it, but because it was always meant to. You might even begin to receive unexpected blessings. Money showing up from nowhere, job offers you didn't apply for, connections you didn't chase. These are not coincidences. They are divine reimbursements. They are heaven's way of saying, I saw what they did. I saw how you responded. Now here's what's rightfully yours. Sometimes, the very areas where you suffered the most are where you will be blessed the most. That's the prophetic pattern of restoration. Another powerful sign is the clarity of vision. Things that were once confusing suddenly make sense. People you couldn't read before now seem transparent. You discern motives quickly. You feel when something is off, even without evidence. That's the spiritual gift of insight sharpening, because the law of return not only brings justice, it brings wisdom. You are no longer walking blind. You are being prepared to never fall for the same deception twice. And perhaps one of the most profound signs of all is the silence from heaven turning into divine whispers. You start receiving messages through dreams, conversations, or sudden inner knowing that confirm what your spirit always felt. You're not crazy. You were never paranoid. You were spiritually alert. And now that the cycle of suffering is closing, the Most High begins to reveal the deeper reasons behind what you went through. That revelation alone is a gift. It means the law of return isn't just restoring what you lost. It's giving you access to a higher realm of understanding. So if you're starting to feel lighter, if people who once drained you are suddenly distant, if blessings are appearing where battles once stood, if your spirit feels like something holy is unfolding around you, know this: the law of return is in motion. What they did to you did not go unnoticed. And now, without your hands, without your voice, without your revenge, the scales are being corrected. Comment 999 if you've already started noticing these prophetic signs. Share your testimony in the comments so others can see the truth of what's unfolding. Let your experience be the proof that the law of return is not just real. It's active, it's alive, and it never misses. How to stay covered while under attack. When you're under spiritual attack, it can feel like you're walking through a storm with no shelter. Your energy feels off, your thoughts become heavy, and even simple tasks begin to feel overwhelming. But chosen one, know this: there is always covering available to you. You are not left exposed, you are not alone, and even in the heat of the battle, you have spiritual armor that cannot be seen, but is more powerful than anything formed against you. The first way to stay covered is by protecting your energy. Not everyone deserves access to your presence. Cut off anything that drains your spirit or invites confusion into your space. Don't explain, don't justify, just guard what is sacred. Silence is a weapon, solitude is a shield. When you pull back from noise, you increase your alignment with God's voice, and in that alignment, you will always find covering. The second layer of protection is your spiritual routine, whether it's prayer, meditation, fasting, worship, or simply speaking affirmations of truth over your life. Consistency is what builds your shield. Don't wait for the attack to deepen before you pray. Don't wait for things to fall apart to ask for guidance. Make your connection to the divine a daily practice, not a crisis response. That constant spiritual dialogue keeps you aware, awake, and aligned. Next, guard your thoughts. The mind is the first battlefield. The moment doubt creeps in, the attack deepens. Speak life, even when everything around you feels dark. Declare protection over your body, your mind, your spirit. Remind yourself that no weapon formed against you will prosper, not because it doesn't exist, but because it cannot succeed. You are covered by something no enemy can touch. And finally, trust the unseen. Even when you feel surrounded, you are being shielded. Angels are assigned to you. Divine protection is already in place. The enemy may come close, but it will never win. Just keep standing in your truth, keep walking in your purpose, and remember, those who are truly covered don't have to fight back. They just have to remain still long enough for heaven to respond. God's ultimate plan: elevation through attacks. It may sound strange, but the very attacks meant to break you were actually designed to build you. The betrayal, the rejection, the isolation, it wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to shape you, to strip away what couldn't go with you into your next season, to awaken parts of you that comfort could never touch. You see, God doesn't just allow attacks, He uses them, not to harm the chosen, but to elevate them. Elevation doesn't come through ease, it comes through pressure. Diamonds are not formed in comfort. Gold isn't purified in cool air, and the chosen aren't prepared in peaceful places. The greater your calling, the greater the fire, because your spirit must be refined to carry what others can't. So when the attacks came, it was never about punishing you. It was about preparing you. Some of your greatest breakthroughs will come directly after your worst heartbreaks. That's the pattern of the divine. First you are emptied, then filled. First you are cut, then healed. First you are broken, then rebuilt stronger than ever before. The pain you felt wasn't random, it was prophetic. It signaled that heaven was rearranging everything around you to make room for your rise. Every person who walked away made space for someone better. Every opportunity that collapsed pushed you toward one that matched your true purpose. Every time you were underestimated, heaven was writing a testimony that no one could deny. That's how God works. He hides His chosen in the chaos, so their comeback carries weight, not for ego, but for evidence. Evidence that His hand was on your life the entire time. So don't resent the attacks. Respect them, because they were the gateway to your next level. Without the betrayal, you wouldn't have awakened your discernment. Without the loss, you wouldn't have discovered your resilience, and without the pressure, you wouldn't have stepped fully into your power. God's ultimate plan for the chosen has never been survival. It's always been elevation. The attack was just the beginning. The rise is the prophecy. Chosen one, if you've made it this far, this message was for you. Not just as information, but as confirmation. Your spirit has been searching for answers, for justice, for relief. And now, the Most High speaks directly to your heart. Hear this clearly. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are not fighting alone. Everything that was sent to break you has only revealed how unshakable you truly are. You were never meant to fit in. You were never meant to be ordinary. The attacks, the rejection, the heavy loneliness, they were not signs of weakness. They were signs of your spiritual distinction. You carry a mantle that others cannot see, but heaven never loses sight of it. Every time they lied, every time they mocked, every time they underestimated you, they were not destroying you. They were preparing your stage. Because God does not elevate without exposure. And now, the exposure is complete. The veil is lifting. The delay is ending. Your name is being spoken in divine places. Receive this blessing. May the weapons that formed against you shatter before